Here's the thing about Shedeur Sanders and this Nike extension. It's not just an endorsement deal. It's leverage. Leverage against the doubters. Leverage inside the Browns locker room. Leverage in every single conversation about who should be under center when the real games start. Think about it. The kid's a rookie, a fifth-round pick no less, and already he's the face of a major sportswear campaign. That's not something you can stuff into the back pages of a playbook. The moment Nike signed that paperwork.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Shedeur's value went from promising young QB to brand-backed franchise asset. And assets like that don't just sit quietly on the bench. Kevin Stefanski can talk all he wants about earning it and paying your dues, but everyone in that building knows there's a different clock ticking now. Nike didn't drop this bag for Shedeur to hold a clipboard. They're betting on him being the guy. Not someday. Soon. And that's where the tension starts to creep in. Because while Stefanski might see Shedeur as a project, the rest of the NFL, and now a billion-dollar company, sees him as a ready-made star. That gap in perception is a storm cloud waiting to break. Let's be real too. The moment Shedeur walked off the field after that preseason debut, the entire vibe around the Browns shifted. Fans weren't just talking about the win over Carolina. They were talking about him. The pinpoint throws. The calm in the huddle. That moment where the pocket collapsed, and instead of panicking, he slid 2 steps to his right and rifled a strike to the sideline like it was backyard toss. That's when the camera caught the wrist flex, just a quick flash of swagger, like he knew exactly how cold-blooded that throw was. And that's the image that exploded across social media. Nike's marketing team didn't even have to brainstorm it. The internet handed it to them. Memes, highlight reels, edits with hip-hop tracks, all before the night was over. You can't buy that kind of moment. You either create it or you don't. And Shedeur? He created it without breaking a sweat. Here's where the drama deepens. This deal doesn't just put more eyes on Shedeur, it puts more pressure on everyone else. For the Browns front office, it's a nightmare in disguise. Because now, if they don't play him, it looks like they're holding back a cultural phenomenon. If they do play him and he struggles, they'll get roasted for letting marketing hype dictate football decisions. Either way, every move they make with Shedeur from this point forward will be second-guessed by fans, analysts, and every single person with a Twitter account. For Dillon Gabriel, the other QB in this circus, the Nike deal is basically a neon sign saying, "This is the guy the world wants to see." Every interception he throws, every missed read, every moment he doesn't look the part, people will be whispering or yelling about when Shedeur's going in. That's not just competition. That's a countdown clock ticking in the back of his mind. And for Shedeur himself, this is where the great ones either rise or crumble. Because it's one thing to have the spotlight. It's another to live in it every single day, with the expectations ratcheted up to a level most rookies don't even sniff until year 3 or 4. Nike believes he can handle it. The question now is whether the Browns will let him prove it. The ripple effect goes beyond Cleveland. You better believe other rookies are watching this unfold with their agents on speed dial. The message is clear. You don't have to be a first-round pick to become the face of a brand. You just have to capture the moment and then make sure the right people see it. That's a massive shift in the balance of power between players and teams. And here's the real kicker. Shedeur's off-field magnetism is bleeding into his on-field presence. Watch his preseason snaps again and you'll see it. Defenders leaning a little too far inside, linebackers hesitating on the blitz, DBs giving just enough cushion to avoid getting burned. That's not fear exactly, but it's respect. You can't measure it in stats, but it changes the game. Nike didn't just sign an athlete. They signed an aura. Which brings us back to Cleveland's dilemma. How do you manage a player who's bigger than the role you've assigned him? If Shedeur was just another rookie, they could stash him on the depth chart. Let him learn in silence. But he's not just another rookie anymore. He's a walking headline, a highlight reel waiting to happen, and a cash register for one of the most powerful brands on earth. And the thing about moments like this? They don't wait around. The energy Shedeur created in that debut won't stay bottled forever. Every week he's not starting risks cooling the fire. Or worse, letting another team be the one to fan it into an inferno. The Browns are playing with something volatile here. They could turn it into the foundation of a new era, or they could blow it up before it ever really begins. And knowing Cleveland's history with quarterbacks, well, you can guess where the anxiety comes from. But maybe this is the moment they finally break the cycle. Maybe this is the year they look past the politics, past the old-school play-it-safe approach, and realize they have something rare in their hands. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Stars like Shedeur Sanders don't come around often. Not just the arm talent, not just the mental toughness, but the full package, the skills, the poise, the charisma, the ability to make the game feel like more than just a game. Nike saw it. The fans see it. The rest of the league sees it. Now the question is, will the Browns? If they don't, someone else will. And when that happens, you can bet Shedeur's first big Nike ad campaign will feature him in a jersey that isn't brown and orange. And that, for Cleveland, would be the most on-brand heartbreak imaginable. Here's the part the NFL isn't ready to admit. Shedeur Sanders' debut wasn't just a football game. It was a marketing earthquake. One moment he's a fifth-round rookie in a crowded quarterback room. The next he's not only owning the field with laser-precise throws, but also turning his first preseason game into a viral cultural moment. The Browns might have drafted him for depth, but Nike? Nike saw something bigger, something that went way beyond box score. They didn't wait for Pro Bowls or MVP votes. They didn't wait for ESPN to anoint him. They pulled the trigger immediately, locking him into an extended contract that's already reshaping how rookie endorsements work. And you know what? That says as much about the state of the NFL as it does about Shedeur himself. Because here's the truth, in 2025, talent alone isn't enough to make you a megastar. You need the skill and the ability to turn every snap, every sideline moment, every tiny piece of personality into something fans can latch onto. Shedeur's got that in spades. That now infamous wrist flex after his second touchdown pass? It wasn't scripted. It wasn't some over-rehearsed PR stunt. It was pure swagger, pure confidence. And it lit up social media like a championship parade. Within hours, Nike had clips, mock-ups, and campaign ideas flying around their marketing department. By the time he woke up the next morning, the call was already coming in. Let's extend this deal. Now, this is where you start to understand how far ahead Nike was playing the game. They'd been in Shedeur's corner since Colorado, when he became their first ever nil football athlete. They weren't just selling him cleats, they were investing in the idea that this kid was the next big thing. His debut in Cleveland wasn't a surprise to them. It was the moment they'd been waiting for. And when it came, they weren't about to let another brand swoop in and hitch their logo to his rise. Here's the part that has old-school NFL executives squirming. Nike's not betting on statistics here. They're betting on story. They see Shedeur as a player who can move product in ways the traditional quarterback can't. He's got the pedigree, the charisma, the calm under pressure, and most importantly, the ability to make people care about him after one game. That's not normal. Most rookies have to grind for years before their name starts showing up on billboards. Shedeur's debut had the kind of energy where you could already imagine him headlining a Nike campaign next to LeBron or Serena. And that scares people, because it means the marketing world might start valuing rookies for their cultural footprint just as much as their yards and touchdowns. And you can already feel the pushback brewing from the football purists. They'll say this is too soon. They'll say endorsements like this are distractions. But here's the thing. Shedeur didn't ask to be a marketing darling. He earned it by playing at a level no one expected from a fifth-round pick in his very first professional game. The way he read the defense against Carolina, that wasn't rookie luck. That was veteran-level patience. The way he stayed calm when the pocket collapsed, shifted left, and delivered a strike 20 yards downfield, that's the type of play you build entire playbooks around. And the fact that he did it without looking rattled, that's the kind of composure you can't teach. Nike saw all of that, and then they saw how he owned the moment afterward. No arrogance. No fumbling through cliches. Just confidence, poise, and a smile that says, yeah, I belong here. It's not just that Nike extended him. It's how they did it, immediately, aggressively, and in a way that makes every other brand look slow to react. They didn't just want Shedeur on their roster of athletes. They wanted him to be the face of a new era. And make no mistake, this move is going to ripple through the league. Other rookies are going to look at this and realize they don't have to wait for a 5-year plan to become marketable. Brands are going to start looking for moments, not just resumes. And GMs? They're going to have to start factoring media presence into draft day decisions, whether they like it or not. Meanwhile, in Cleveland, you have a rookie QB who's now more than just a player. He's a walking, talking brand juggernaut. That changes everything. Defenses aren't just preparing to stop him on Sundays. They're trying to stop the highlight clips from dominating Monday morning. Opposing players are already aware that one mistake against him could end up in a Nike ad by the end of the week. And the scary part? Shedeur's only just getting started. That debut wasn't him at his ceiling. It was him introducing himself. You could feel it in the way the game slowed down for him, the way his mechanics stayed tight under pressure, the way he hit receivers in stride without overthinking. He wasn't surviving out there. He was controlling the field. For Nike, this was never about taking a wild swing. This was about doubling down on a sure thing before everyone else realized the table was tilted. They've essentially locked in the rights to one of the NFL's most marketable young players before he's even hit his first regular season snap. That's not just bold, it's historic. And the league? They might want to pay attention. Because if Shedeur keeps stacking performances like this, his brand might grow so fast it forces the Browns, and maybe even the NFL itself, to treat him differently. This isn't just a quarterback anymore. This is a cultural shift wearing a helmet. The future of the NFL might look a lot less like the old guard and a lot more like what we saw in that preseason opener. A kid with ice in his veins, a laser for an arm, and a Nike deal that says he's not here to blend in. He's here to take over. And if you think that's hype, give it until week 1. You'll see it for yourself. Here's the part that nobody in the Browns building wants to admit out loud. The second Shedeur Sanders inked that Nike extension, the clock started ticking on the team's control of his narrative. Before the deal, he was the rookie quarterback with a good preseason showing. That's manageable. Coaches can keep that kind of hype contained with vague press conference quotes and depth chart politics. After the deal, he's not just a player anymore. He's a brand, a storyline, a national talking point. And brands don't sit quietly in the shadows while the offense struggles on Sundays. The tension is already bubbling. Every sports talk show in America has an opinion. ESPN segments, podcasts, call-in shows. And the debate is always the same. When are the Browns going to play Shedeur? The Nike logo isn't just on his cleats. It's stamped across every single conversation about this team. That's dangerous for a head coach like Kevin Stefanski, who prides himself on controlling the message. You can't control a message when half the fan base sees their QB2 on billboards before they see him taking first-team reps. It's even worse inside the locker room. Receivers who've worked with Shedeur in practice know how clean his ball placement is. Offensive linemen appreciate that he gets the ball out quick, saving them from holding calls and quarterback hits. There's a quiet but growing group of players who see the offense's future running through Sanders, not Gabriel. But then there's the other side, veterans who buy into Stefanski's earn-it culture, who see Shedeur's rising fame as a potential distraction. For them, the Nike deal is proof the kid might be focused on being a star before he's earned it in the league. That's how divisions start, not in screaming matches, not in open rebellion, but in subtle shifts, side conversations in the weight room, quick glances when the QB room breaks after a meeting, a pause before someone answers a reporter's question. Meanwhile, Shedeur, he's not showing cracks. That's the part that's really unsettling for his critics. He's walking through this chaos with the same calm he had in that preseason debut, studying film, working on timing, putting in extra reps after practice. If anything, the Nike extension has only doubled his focus. It's almost unnerving how much he doesn't flinch. A fifth-round rookie sitting under a spotlight that would make veterans sweat. and he just stays steady. That steadiness is exactly why Nike pounced. They weren't just betting on a quarterback. They were betting on a personality that could handle being a public figure and a professional athlete at the same time. They saw the same thing Dion saw when he raised him, a player who could play the long game. But here's where the pressure cooker gets dangerous. The more Shedeur plays it cool, the more the fans want to see him unleashed. And the more the fans want it, the harder it becomes for Stefanski to justify holding him back. All it's going to take is one bad Sunday from Gabriel. One flat, lifeless offensive performance in front of a restless Cleveland crowd, and the chants will start. Not just online, in the stadium. That's the nightmare scenario for the Browns coaching staff. Because once the fans turn, the story changes. The media stops asking if Shedeur should play and starts asking, why isn't he playing? The locker room noise grows louder. And every week that passes without giving him a shot becomes a gamble with both the season and the future. Here's the other thing. This isn't just a Cleveland problem anymore. Other teams are watching. The Rams? They've been tied to Shedeur since whispers about his marketability started. The Raiders? They've been looking for a young quarterback who could ignite their fan base. Even the Cowboys, imagine the headlines, are reportedly monitoring the situation. That's the part that should terrify Browns ownership. If they mishandle this, Shedeur Sanders could walk into another franchise and become their star, their Nike campaign centerpiece, their playoff quarterback. And Cleveland will be left explaining how they let it happen again. You don't have to look far in NFL history to find examples of teams undervaluing their own talent and paying for it. But this situation is different because it's moving at lightning speed. Most quarterback controversies simmer for months, sometimes years. This one went from rookie flashes in preseason to global sports brand centerpiece in under 2 weeks. The Browns have never dealt with a player who's become bigger than the team this fast. And that's the tightrope Stefanski is walking now. Either embrace Shedeur's rise and ride the wave, or try to slow it down and risk being swallowed by it. The craziest part? Through all of it, Shedeur hasn't taken a single public shot at the team. No cryptic social media posts. No thinly veiled interviews. No passive-aggressive, I'll be ready when my numbers, called soundbites. Just quiet preparation. That silence is deafening, because it tells you exactly how much confidence he has that his moment is coming, whether Cleveland likes it or not. And when that moment comes, it's not going to be small. If Shedeur steps on the field again and lights it up the way he did against Carolina, the debate will be over. Not because of PR pressure, not because of Nike, but because the guy can flat out play. And once the tape shows that there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. For now, the Browns are pretending they can control the story. But the reality is simple. The story already belongs to Shedeur Sanders. And the only question left is whether Cleveland will be smart enough to let him finish it in their colors, or watch him write his legend somewhere else. Picture this. It's week 7, and the Browns are limping into the bye week at 2-5. The offense is sputtering. The fan base is restless, and Gabriel's press conferences have gone from cautiously optimistic to flat-out defensive. And then out of nowhere, the bomb drops. Shedeur Sanders traded. You'd hear the news before you saw it. Group chats would start blowing up, ESPN would break in mid-segment, and every sports notification on your phone would buzz like a fire alarm. For Cleveland fans, it wouldn't just be disappointment, it would be betrayal. Because no matter what front office spin gets thrown out there, they'd know this wasn't about football fit. This was about control. Imagine the optics. A rookie quarterback with a 73% preseason completion rate, a national endorsement deal, and a built-in fan base gets shipped off to, say, Los Angeles or Las Vegas. 2 markets desperate for a flashy, marketable star. Within minutes, Nike drops a slick 30-second ad of Shedeur in his new uniform, smiling under stadium lights, captioned with "The future arrives." It's not just a trade at that point, it's a transfer of power. Cleveland's PR team would scramble, feeding the media lines about organizational philosophy and protecting the culture. But it wouldn't matter. The narrative would belong to Shedeur. Every touchdown he threw in his new city would be a knife twist for Browns fans. Every viral celebration would be a reminder of what they let slip away. And here's the kicker. The locker room wouldn't forget, either. Players who built chemistry with Shedeur during camp, who saw his work ethic and leadership up close, would quietly wonder if they were next. If performance and potential aren't enough to secure your place, what is? The fallout wouldn't just hit the Browns on Sundays. It would hang over the franchise for years. Think about all the what-if segments on sports talk shows. Think about the draft retrospectives 5 years from now, showing Shedeur winning playoff games while Cleveland's still searching for stability under center. The fans would remember, too. And in Cleveland, a city with a long memory for sports heartbreak, they wouldn't forgive easily. The Haslams could renovate the stadium, change the uniforms, or even bring in another young quarterback. But every new move would be measured against the one they let get away. Because once you trade a player like Shedeur Sanders, you're not just losing a quarterback. You're losing the chance to be the place where his legend began. And that's the kind of loss you don't recover from, not in the standings, not in the headlines, and definitely not in the hearts of your fans. And deep down, you know he'd circle that first game against Cleveland on his calendar. That's when the wrist flex wouldn't just be swagger, it would be a reminder. A reminder of the day the Browns thought they could stop the future, and failed.